I'm Elvira Guzman. I'm an author, speaker, publicist, and talk show host. I've owned a publicity company for 10 years after starting my career working for Steve Harvey as a radio and television producer. I've worked on TV and films with celebrities like Halle Berry, Forrest Whitaker, Terrence J, Amber Rose, Mike Epps. I've done concerts for Ice Cube, The Game, Music Soul Child. I've worked on books for Shirley Strawberry, Troy Byer, and I've done philanthropy projects with Hollywood's heroes like Danny Trejo. Throughout my career, all of the projects I've done have had one common thread. They all help people find their way. We're back. My first guest is the hottest upcoming comedian in Hollywood. He moved out to Los Angeles to pursue his dream to be the most famous comedian and actor here. When he got here, he was on Bill Bellamy's Who's Got Jokes and NBC's Last Comic Standing. Most recently, he's landed national TV commercials. I'm really excited to welcome my good friend, Ron G. Ron, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Really good. How are you?
Good to see you. Can I tell you how proud I am of you, of your show? It's so amazing. I've been like in the stands watching your journey, watching you grow too. So I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about why you decided to move all the way out here to pursue your dreams.
Shoot, I call it the quarter life crisis, where you go to school for something, but your heart tell you something different, and you have no clue what it is. I used to be an accountant, and I basically got fired from every job I ever had out of college, from accounting to sales. I got fired from the temp job. Did temp accounting for a while, which was temporary. And I don't know, I just felt like there was something more. My cousin was a comic, and he told me I was hilarious and I should get on stage, and I got on stage and got booed and fell in love, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to move. And I didn't know nothing about LA. I didn't know nobody, man, and I just felt like God told me. He said, you're going to be a great comedian one day. What are you going to do about it? And from that day on, the next day, my dad gave me a check for a couple $100, and I bought a ticket out here to come visit. And I wound up performing at the Laugh Factory, which is right down the street.
Yeah.
Which is the place that I host every Sunday. And I wound up performing there. I met a lot of cool people. And I came back to Atlanta, and I felt out of place. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. And from that point on, it's a long story, but not really. But God opened some doors. I got a job over the phone. I sold my house right before the housing crash. And I got a message. 6 messages. And it worked itself out, man, and I live a really good life. Like I live my dream right now.
Wow. Well, congratulations. But
Thank you.
I heard you saying, you just said it so quickly, that you fell in love when you got booed.
Yeah. So the thing I learned about life is we all have moments in our life that are called defining moments where, you know, you see something in your head and it might not go how you want, but how you respond to getting that, how you respond to those moments change the direction of your life. It's almost like, I think Muhammad Ali said something like, it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard, like, how fast you get back up after you've been hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I got on stage, got booed, and quit, I wouldn't be having this moment right now. But because I got booed and I went back and tried to figure out what I did wrong, like, again, I've been all over the world. I'm probably the only person in my family that got a passport. Seriously, I'm the only person in my family that's, you know, a business owner, and I literally changed the trajectory of my family by saying yes to something that was uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Was the transition difficult? Because I know working in finance to being on stage is completely different.
They have their own type of difficulty. Like, just finance and accounting, like, it was cool, but it was boring. It's all Excel spreadsheets and having people, and you do the exact same thing every day. And for me, that was more painful than me going on stage and having the risk of chance of getting booed. But I just hate going to work, and I did the exact same thing every day. And I'm like, how do y'all do this? Y'all gonna retire from doing this? The exact same thing every day was driving me nuts, man. And I didn't fit in. I was silly. I used to be in meetings laughing, and it didn't work out. But comedy has its own type of thing, because for me, the more I do comedy, it's not even about how funny you are. It's more about personal growth and, like, balance. Because I live in a world where I have no accountability in anything I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I go to a comedy club. They offer free drinks. You know, there's women attached to being funny. You know, again, like, I travel so much, sometimes it's hard to make it to church. And my whole life right now is trying to manage and have balance every area of my life. And if you're not good at managing your own life, it can take you any kind of direction, because you won't realize until months later, like, man, I haven't been to church in a while. Man, I drink a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can easily happen overnight if you don't manage and, like, listen to your inner compass and remind yourself, like, okay, this is real, but it's not real, you know?
Yeah.
Because I get reminded of what my real life is when I go home, and my mom, she don't care about my TV credits, and I'm like, hey, Mom, I was on Last Come and Stand. You better be the last come and get this trash ticket out. That's how my mom is, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very grateful for my life, and I'm really like enjoying my journey and what I'm learning about me along the way.
Good. I heard you say that your dad gave you a few $100s when you first started. Now, when you told your family that you were going to completely switch careers and move all the way out to Hollywood, did they support you fully, or
No, absolutely. They didn't get it. My dad just gave me some money because I don't know what God told him or whispered in his ear, but he just gave me some money out the blue. But in general, my parents didn't get it, like especially my mom, which it kind of hurt the most that she didn't get it because, you always want your parents to co-sign on what you're doing. Yeah. But I remember I got booed, and I told my mom, I'm like, hey, Mom, I got booed. But I had fun. I got on stage, and she was like, so why you get, they pay you to get booed? And I'm like, no. She's like, so why you do it? I was like, I like it. And I kept going back, man. And it wasn't until she saw me live, like she really saw, like, wow, you're really good at this. I didn't know. She didn't know it was a thing. Because, like, where I'm from, you don't really dream. You don't have dreams. You can, it's I don't know, people talk about it more than they actually do it. Because all my life I was told you should be on Def Jam or you should be on Comic View. But I didn't know it was a real thing until I moved here. And now it's like, I live a great life. Short story, when I first moved here, my mom came to visit. I was up for a commercial. Like I was unemployed almost the whole time I was in Atlanta. Finally got a job in LA. They held it for 3 months. And then I got fired from that job. Got another job in Long Beach as an accountant. And I ain't did accounting for like 3-4 years or whatever. Anyway, I just started the job. It was the most money I've ever made. And they used to feed us twice a week. Really cool job. And I had a friend who was like, yo, my friend is a commercial agent. Would you like for me to send your information over to her? I was like, sure, why not? So I get a call, and she said, I got a commercial audition for you. It's for a spokesperson for Checkers and Rally's restaurant. I didn't know what that was. And so I just got my job in accounting, and I lied and told my boss that my car broke down so I could go to my audition. And so I said, I don't know what time I'm going to get in, but I'll keep you posted. And so I went to the audition. Next day, she was like, they love you. You got the job. And I was like, what does that mean? She was like, can you go to Miami next week to shoot these 5 commercials? And I was like, next week? Like, I just started my job. Like, they pay me really good. And so I was wrestling with it. And the lady was like, all right, I'm going to give you a day to think about it. And so I said, she called me back. She was like, so you going to say yes? She was like, I said, well, my mom, she's never been on a plane before. She's coming to visit. I don't want her to, like, stay by herself because I'll be gone for a whole week and I don't have anybody to watch her. And she said, I'm going to give you some more time to think about it. So I called my mom and said, hey, Mom, I know you're here for like 2 weeks. If I get somebody to watch you for half that time while I go shoot this commercial, would that be okay? She was like, isn't that why you moved out here? I was like, yeah. So I had that moment of, am I going to trust my gut and trust my craft, or do I stay in bed with the comfort?
Yeah.
And so I went to work, and I told the lady, I said, I'm going to take it. And I went to work, and I told my boss, I said, hey, Miss Mary, do you mind if I take off next week and go to Miami and shoot a commercial? I know I don't really have vacation time, but I was wondering, And she said, Ron, I'm not going to answer that question. She said, if you're not here Monday, you're fired. And that was like one of those moments because, again, I felt like God kept me unemployed the entire time I was in Atlanta to get me familiar with being unaddicted to the check. Because when you're addicted to getting that check every Friday, it's hard for you to process, I might not get a check, but my bill's going to be paid, which is the ultimate. Like, it's one thing in church to shout and say you got faith, but it's another thing to know that I don't know when my next check coming, I don't know when my next gig is coming, but I'm always going to be taken care of. So meanwhile, I didn't show up Monday, and I shot these commercials, and after that, I did a show called Who's Got Jokes. I did Last Comic Standing, and literally, I've not worked a 9 to 5 since May of 06.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that's the easy route, because there's been times I've eaten grits for every meal. You know what I'm saying? Because I was too prideful to call my parents. But I trusted my gut, and I trusted my faith, and I trusted my craft, and God has always taken care of me. Now, even now, I'm actually looking for another home. I'm a homeowner now, and I'm looking for another home. Like, and LA's probably one of the most expensive places out here. But again, I can do that because I said yes to my dream, and I said yes to the fear that comes along with not the unknown.
Congratulations. So,
thank you.
How important, I know how important it is, but can you tell everyone watching how important faith is when you're pursuing your dreams?
Honestly, faith is the only thing that keeps me going and doing what I'm doing. Like, today is a rough day for me. I'm as we speak, I'm tired. Like, this city will remind you every single day that you're not enough in any kind of way. Being a black man, being a comedian, being an artist, being in a relationship, being like everything about this world will remind you that you're not enough. So you got to remind yourself through something, most of the time intangible, that you're worth the fight, and on the end it'll be worth it. You know what I'm saying? Again, like today is really a rough day for me, but I'm fighting through it. But I know the only thing that makes sense in my life is the thing I can't see, which is my relationship with God. And without God, I honestly believe I wouldn't be who I am, because I would be crazy, because again, I have no accountability in anything in my life. Like what I do for a living, people are like, oh, you're funny, and they like give me a pass on everything, and it's tough, but it's awesome at the same time, because again, he reminds me that even though I have this thing and I feel like I have the world in my hands, the moments, the areas of my life I can't control, he always will remind me, like, you have to depend on me in these areas in order to thrive. Because getting to your dream is one thing, but sustaining your success is a whole another thing. And if you're not grounded by the time you get to the top, you can't sustain. You know what I'm saying? Which is why a lot of athletes and entertainers are on drugs, because your reality is not real, and you're always torn between, I can have whatever I want, but it's not feeling. So what do I do? You know? So my faith is very important. So if you're watching this right now, let me tell you something. Without God and knowing that there's a bigger purpose and cause for me doing what I'm doing, like I believe if I stop doing comedy, there's people gonna miss God, like literally gonna miss God in their lives, because I'm not in position to doing what I'm doing. And for you that's watching, know that every moment that you abandon your dream or postpone your dream, there's people missing God because of you being fearful of and your Jesus not being big enough. When your God is big enough, everything that you're fearful of, he can handle all that. He can handle your fears, your hang-ups about your own life, about what you think you're not enough, your bills. He can handle all that. And I have this conversation literally every day, because I'm on the other side of taking that risk of leaving your job and doing what's in my heart. And you can go to your job every day and complain about your job and what they don't do and how they don't see you clearly, but at the same time, it's up to you to make a decision, because a lot of times you ain't waiting on God. God waiting on you. And what are you going to do about that frustration? And when you're frustrated enough, you actually do something about it. But until then, your reward is complaining about what your boss don't do. If that makes you, I know it might be too heavy.
No, amen. Yeah. So it's inevitable when we work in Hollywood. We have setbacks, we have obstacles. For every one time you get a job, you have 9 rejections. So how do you deal with that to stay motivated?
I'm still working on that. I just feel like LA becomes more bearable when you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you get to the point where you just don't care anymore, in a good way, you win. Like even with dating, like every time, I remember when I first moved out here, I'm a Southern boy. I go to a club and ask a girl, hey, you want to dance? And she'd be like, and I'm like, why are you me? I'm trying to be nice. You know what I'm saying? But when I stop caring, I go to the club and just have a good time, and I create my own environment, people want to dance with you, and you don't even have to ask. Which is the same thing in my art. On stage, I literally don't perform for people anymore. I don't care what people think. If you don't like my joke, you know, I feel like something's wrong with you. You got sewage in your soul, and something's wrong with you. But because, again, I know I'm funny, I know who I am as a person in all areas of my life, I know why I'm on this planet. If you don't enjoy my company, my life, being in my space, then something's wrong with you.
I totally agree.
Yes.
So we've gotten tons of questions on social media. Can I read a few and you answer the audience?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So
are they specifically for me, or are they in generals?
They're general.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so
let's do it.
Stephanie from the Philippines asked,
hey, Stephanie.
Most of my family members are doctors, and my parents are really pushing for me to go that route, but it's not what I'm passionate about. I love to sing, but they think I'll never make it, and they discourage me to do it. What should I do?
So, Stephanie, I have plenty of answers for you. Sometimes you know you're dreaming big enough when the people close to you don't get it. Culturally speaking, sometimes it's crippling to a kid to know that you only have a choice of 5 careers, depending on what your nationality is and your race background. You know, some cultures only let you be a doctor, an accountant, a dentist, a lawyer, and something else. But again, I have this phrase I live by now, is always honor your heart. If you don't honor your heart, you're gonna live a very miserable life, and you're gonna live for other people. And it's up to you to decide, what are you gonna answer to. You're gonna answer to your family, because again, when they're dead and gone, you still have to live with your own truth. And if you live their truth, you still gotta do it yourself, and it's gonna be painful. And I can't handle that, knowing that I spent my time on this planet and didn't do what I was called to do. And like, knowing what I know now, I would never, I don't know, I've seen too much to go back to living a regular life, to go into a job I hate, to go into a job where I have to listen, I have to ask for time off. I have to ask my boss, can I use the restroom? I have to ask, can I go home because I have a family member that's sick? I have to ask, can I take time off because I'm sick? I have to ask. I don't want to ask anybody for anything. I take control of my own life. And until you make a decision for yourself to own your truth and honor your heart, you're going to stay miserable. And again, hopefully you get frustrated enough to do something about it. But if not, good luck with pleasing your parents, because that never happens.
Yeah, I agree. Great answer. I have another question here from Jesse from London.
Yep.
Everyone tells me that I'm funny and I should try being a comedian, but I'm scared to fail. I'm okay in front of people, but I've never performed in front of a big crowd, and that scares me a bit. Have you ever dealt with stage fright, and what do you think that I should do?
Okay, so my first time on stage, I got booed, and they told me to kill myself. The boo was okay, but they literally told me to kill myself, and that was the most terrifying moment of my life, because my pride didn't matter anymore. And I'm like, do I run out this door, or do I take it on the chin? And for some reason, because I'm competitive and I played sports, I wanted to go back and figure out what I did wrong. So for you that wants to do comedy, I would tell anybody who want to do comedy, don't do it. Go do something else with your life. Go to career fair. Find something fun to do. Or you can be an internet comedian. Internet comedian, you get 16 takes. You can say the wrong thing and try it again until you get it right. But live stand-up, you can't choose stand-up. Stand-up has to choose you. And again, I would say do something else, because again, like, I'm very serious about comedy, and I left everything to do what I love, so I don't play with that. If you feel like you're supposed to do stand-up, you honor your heart, get over yourself, and get on stage and figure that thing out. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no map. Comedy is like, it's self-taught, and you teach yourself how great you want to be. It's like, I can tell you how to fight all day long, but until you get in that ring and get knocked out and handle that hit and get your mouth toe up, like, it's up to you to decide, you know, what you want for your life, the life to look like. And again, I think it's always important to answer the call of the world and the universe telling you you should do something. Like, I was always told my entire life, you're hilarious. You tell great stories. You should be on TV. You should be a comedian. I didn't know it was a thing. And so that's the universe talking to you. But if you ignore it and live for your pride, then you will stay miserable, and that's your reward. So that's it.
Great answer.
Might sound a little hardcore, but
no, it's real. It's real. Okay, I have one last question.
No problem.
Marissa from Mexico asks, growing up, I've always wanted to be an actress, but in Mexico, the majority of the women that make it have blonde hair, blue eyes, and are very thin. I have dark hair, brown eyes, and I'm a size 8. Do you think that I should still try? I'm scared of rejection.
I feel like there's no formula anymore. There's no formula for what people and things should look like. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to move to where you appreciate it. I remember when I first flew to LA and I was on that plane and I was landing in the city and I saw all these lights. I saw the hills in Pasadena. I saw the ocean, and I'm sitting here like, I have to conquer this city. I'm a clean black comedian that talks fast. Nobody knows who I am. How am I going to fit in the city where I know everybody curses and do what they do? And sometimes when God put his hand on your life and tell you you're going to do something, it doesn't matter what other people do. Sometimes you stay in your lane and figure that thing out. There's actors now that are big, chubby, unattractive, that are very successful because their timing was right and somebody saw something special in them. And you can't judge yourself by what other people are casting for, because, again, I'm a clean comedian. I live a really good life. And then I heard even Jay Leno say at one time, he tried to be like Richard Pryor, and he's like, do I want to be famous or do I want to be rich? And he stopped cursing, and Jay Leno is super rich. So, again, you can't let that stop you. And sometimes, again, when you hot enough, I'm pretty sure when Cat Williams blew up, nobody thought Cat Williams would be the next thing in comedy. Like, nobody was going for a short pimp with an outstanding perm. Nobody was going for him. But he created his own lane and wound up being so successful that he's done stuff that no comic has ever done just because he stayed in his lane and somebody saw something in him, and he became a really great thing. So again, you just got to stay in your lane and put your blinders on and go forward and not worry about anybody else's race or lane. And every time you look on somebody's Instagram page or Facebook and look in their lane, you're going to be reminded that you're not enough. But again, sometimes you don't know what that cost is if somebody have to live a life of being somebody else. Because the person that you're admiring with the blonde hair and blue eyes, they probably aren't blonde hair and blue eyes, but they're living a life that they think they should live, and they're not happy. You being comfortable in your skin is sexy. It's attractive to men. It's attractive to people to see people comfortable in their skin. If you see a big girl that's dancing her heart out, everybody loves it. They might talk about it, but they like, man, she having a good time. And it's attractive. So be comfortable in your skin, man. You're sexy as is, and don't let nobody tell you they're not sexy. They ain't. If they do, you can tell them to eat dirt. That's it.
Great answer. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I know that you've inspired all of our viewers.
Thank you. I had so much fun. That was awesome.
Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.